Welcome to the Project Profile Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Allen. This is a podcast where we explore everything that it takes to market property projects here in Australia. Hi there. Thanks for joining us again for another episode. Today, we're joined by Jake Vanderrol from Wiredlans. Welcome, Jake.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, Jake, we had the pleasure of working together previously on some property projects. And so I wanted to bring you in today because we get a lot of questions from developers around what sort of CRM they should be using, but also more about how do we use the CRM more effectively. So why don't we start off? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and Wiredlans and your specialty?
Yeah, I've been running Wiredlans for 12 years now, heading it up, and we work from Christchurch to Perth with a whole variety of industry verticals, and property development just happens to be one of the places we've played in before. And we go out and sit down with customers who want to just take all of their process and their customer data, bring it all together and put it in one place, because a really common thing we see these days are people are just suffering from meltdown from having 15 platforms. Their data's all over the place. You can't report on it. And we give them a single pane of glass to see what's happening in their business and a real 360-degree view of their customers and prospects, which is sort of the Salesforce party piece, which is what we build all of our technology on. And we've decided to align ourselves completely with one platform because it's so expansive and massive, and you just want to be the master of that platform.
Yeah. So that's exactly right. Getting all your data into a bucket that it's all in one place. What's the acronym? SPOT, single point of truth.
Yeah, single source of truth. Yeah,
yeah, right. So, and look, we've worked with developers before that have got, say, MailChimp, a smaller CRM, and we might have a different SMS sending database, and all of these different platforms that we're jerry-rigging together, and it works. But it's a lot more effective if it's all in one platform, isn't it?
Yeah, and I guess it works, depends on your sophistication level as well. Try and get reporting, like I said, across all that data and get really good insights into what's happening. That's very difficult. Sending SMS timely from a third-party platform when it doesn't know what's happening in your CRM, you're going to have to integrate, maintain those integrations. It's just complexity. And now in the modern world of AI, where everyone wants AI, the first step in really good AI is to underpin it with a great data set, because it's only as good as what you build it on. And you want it to be able to use all that rich customer data that you have at your disposal, make decisions and actions based on that and what's happening with that data.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the old saying? Shit in, shit out. Like if you put crap into the system, you're not going to get quality out of it.
AI can't fix shit.
Can't polish a turd. Jeez, we're touching on all the classics. So you're completely right. And I think like a good example of that is, I'm just going to paraphrase what you were saying there. So if someone came into your customer journey, and they're in your CRM and that triggers an external SMS, that CRM doesn't really know what's happening with that external SMS and how the person's treating it, whether they're responding, replying, and things like that. So what you're saying is it's much better to have all of the activity in one place that has a brain, would you call it? That's a
360-degree view to
yes,
what's happening with your customer. And it's not just the systems, it's the human element as well. If you're a sales rep sitting there, you want to know what your prospect's been engaging with. Have they responded to the SMS? Has that triggered something else? What's the right time to reach out? What sort of things are they looking at that are important to them when they're buying? Particularly in the property industry, it's very personal choice. There's a lot of things around the type of property, where it is, the budget, a whole number of different attributes there, and there's so much data around it.
Yeah, and so you work specifically with Salesforce. Yeah. Because it is so expansive, as you said. There's the app store that they have, the marketplace. What's
the App Exchange?
App Exchange, yeah. So you can basically, it's like an old SAP style thing, not as clunky. In that
swearing at me.
In that you can make it useful for whatever the application is.
It extends way further than the App Exchange, and we don't use a lot of the App Exchange, to be honest. When we're using third-party vendors, DocuSign, SMS Magic, those sorts of things, definitely use their apps. Really speeds up the integration of those services. But the real power of Salesforce is it's not really just a CRM anymore, and that's almost doing it a disservice. So what you're buying into is a completely maintained platform that you can go and replicate all of your business processes into. And I think that's a really unique point where it's got big enough capability that it can run a Fortune 500 company. So any small to medium enterprise in Australia will not outgrow that platform, which is, again, a huge thing that a lot of people come across, particularly with the entry-level CRMs, your pipe drives and HubSpots and that sort of stuff. And we build full line of business systems that take you from cradle to grave with your customers all the way through their processes, document generation, customer portals, revenue reporting, commission tracking, you name it, we can do it.
So talk me through, paint a picture for me. You have a property client who requires a CRM. What are some of the things that you can do? What are some cool things that you would do, or what's the standard setup for that?
I think there is no standard setup. Like the USP is the same as the USP for your business. As a property agent, how do you differentiate yourself to the rest of the market? And the answer is through the service you provide and the way that you provide it. So we sit down with a company and really go through in great detail how they go about delivering their service and what sets them apart so we can capture that. But that starts from the marketing piece at the front, engaging your prospects. Everyone's familiar with like lead scoring and landing pages and, activity tracking. But the real party piece is being able to bring it all onto the one platform to see it. Like what are these people engaging with? When's the right time to reach out? Like I said, have the system do a lot of the legwork on the marketing interactions as much as possible. Obviously, you still need the person to close and be there and call at the right time, but show them when that is.
Yeah.
So you can be more effective as a salesperson. Once you get onto that call, you're putting out ROIs, you're generating contracts. The ability to just not have to sit there and make paperwork. Because for me, I really hate having to do my own contracts. It's a simple process. You open up a Word document, you do a find and replace, and there's merge fields on there or whatever. But, mail merges break. Sometimes the wrong data gets merged. You just want this to be a non-event. Click a button, have a contract, a draft contract, send it to the prospect, and it's all about expediting the deal there, accuracy and quick deals.
And having the confidence that that is going to execute correctly. And so for us, we touch the CRM in the way that the marketers would approach it. So landing pages, EDMs, SMS, lead nurturing through email drip campaigns, and then lead scoring. Lead scoring is a big thing. So
and rarely set up right. And a lot of people don't know where to start with it.
We do get asked about it a lot. And I think it's really intimidating when we go back and say, this is what it will require, because if you don't have the right technology in place, it's not impossible, but it's a lot more difficult because you have attribution problems between platforms. So what MailChimp is going to give you may not totally match up with, what your Google Analytics is telling you MailChimp it should be. So
and maintaining the syncs between those is a big thing.
But lead scoring, when it's done well, is almost like a secret sauce for the sales team. So if you can get a report and that Mark inquired on the 13th, he's opened the email X amount of times, he's visited the landing page, on these days, and he's responded. Do you have a social media? I can't remember with Salesforce. Does it integrate with social media so you can get reporting back on activity on the page?
Yeah, you can bring that all into the platform. And again, you can integrate anything. Yeah, it's called, it was called Account Engagement. Now it's called Marketing Cloud Next.
Okay.
So the new AI version, that's the name it's taking over. It's got, AI-driven segmenting, brand tone, personas. It generates your content. It can set up basic automations for you, even just from typing in natural language into the LLM. It'll generate all these campaign elements for you.
Yeah, wow. And so has that landed, or is that being launched?
It's generally available now.
Wow.
Yeah. So
have you integrated that into any of your clients?
Yeah.
Excellent.
It's definitely taken over from account engagement, which was the original tool there.
The dumb version. That's probably a slight, but the AI just gives it almost a mind of its own. It's able to go through and do really intelligent things, whereas before, like I said, in the old days you had merge tags and mail merge, like you said, and now with AI, it's got the ability to intelligently pull out relevant information, personalize it, and send that off in a way that you couldn't do as effectively before.
Yeah, I think it's just all aimed at making marketers more efficient and less focused on the execution piece and generating all the bits and pieces and letting them focus on the strategy and carrying that out. But there's also another piece called Data Cloud, which lets you bring in data from basically any API-enabled platform. So if you want REA data and you've got access to their API, you can bring that in.
Right.
Everything from websites to literally anything that's got API feed. You can bring it in with Data Cloud, have that data lake there with extended data that doesn't need to be in your CRM, but as a marketer, you want to leverage it when it's required, and that's sitting there as well to further bolster the capabilities.
And the marketing side of the CRM is what we are most exposed to. But what are some other capabilities for a property client that they would use the Salesforce CRM?
It can do inventory management. So if you've got an inventory of properties, that might be house and land, it might be just lots. We can set it up to understand all the features of those lots. We've made it generate the window advertising straight out of the CRM records from all the properties. It can then go and populate a client website. We can take properties on and off dynamically as contracts settle in real time.
Because it's all done through the CRM.
Because it's all done centrally in the CRM and you can connect your website into it. We can do customer portals through it, the document generation and the full contract management lifecycle, commission management for reps based on all those sales. It's the sky's the limit. And you don't have to start with everything. We can start small and build it out as just a sales piece. But I think some of the lesser thought of things, channel sales, tracking referral partners, buyers agents, being able to see a history of what sort of properties they sell just through the attribution of them against sales. That's some powerful information.
Would you pull that in through, say, like an REA API, or you would receive that?
You can just have it in the system, like the buyers agents that you're dealing with. You'd set them up on the platform as a contact and an account, and be able to connect those to the opportunity, which would be the contracts. And I think that's the beauty. You can connect the data any way that makes sense to you, report on it how it makes sense to you, and get those insights out. And I think reporting is Salesforce's party piece. You don't need to be a developer to run reports, to build dashboards, to customize reports. It's all drag and drop. And if the data's in the CRM, you can report on it. And I think that's a really powerful tool when people can start diving in and getting those insights whenever they need it.
It's the biggest piece for us is the reporting piece, because we do multivariate testing on absolutely everything. And over time, our campaigns get more effective and they start to cost a lot less, or we can generate a lot more for the same amount of money, a lot more sales outcomes. And having that data is and would be super.
Well, you can track it. I think the big thing is holding your marketing agency to account, right? Everyone's sort of like, is it working? Is it not working?
Yeah.
And it's just about data. And when it's all in the one place, you can access that data. You can attribute sales to campaigns directly. And then it becomes a really easy decision when you can see the information there.
I think it's really interesting. And every property marketer worth their salt would know what their cost per sale is, cost per contract for particular projects. but having that knowledge, generally you sort of you get to know it at the end of every month, and then every 6 months you do a big review, and then at the end of the camp of the project you'll do a recap. And I think like people that don't have that data are running a lot more blind, because if you see the direction that data is going, like your cost per contract is really healthy or it's hurting, you can implement change straight away.
But I think it's more than that. Like monthly end of campaign cadences, it's kind of too slow in this world. And if you can have that data in real time through a dashboard, you're going to access it, right? Because you can turn a campaign around that's not performing then, or you can turn it off and divert those funds into something that is working. And that's where, the multivariate testing at the top of the funnel is directly impacting decisions that you're making down on the ground in contract land then, and you can be really responsive to what's going on when it's in real time. And it's not just that, it's the amount of time that it takes people to assemble the data, to then go and analyze it and then receive it and understand it. If it's in the same format, it's live whenever you want to look at it, and it's front of mind, it just makes it more powerful, I think.
Yeah. And so what would you say to a property developer that is considering a CRM, but they're a little bit spooked with the price of Salesforce, and they're considering like a pipe drive or something like that? Like,
do you want to do it twice?
Right.
I think that's a really big factor there is, are you just trying to fill a need for a year, or do you want something that's going to be a major tool of the business? They're just not, it's not a comparison. One is literally a pipeline management tool. One is a platform that you can run your business on and give you everything that we've talked about. And the easiest way that I make this comparison is like, what does it cost you to hire a member of staff in Australia? What does it cost you to have your reps sitting there doing reporting and working through spreadsheets? Like, with this cost of salaries in Australia, it doesn't take long to account for that with the efficiency that technology can bring you. And the funny thing is, if you say a $20,000 CRM project, a $40,000 CRM project, that's like, what, a third of the cost of a full-time rep? So all you need to do is find efficiency across your team for the cost of a third of one person, which can scale, who doesn't sleep, who aids the marketing team, is always on. It becomes a pretty easy decision in my books.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, like, we practice what we preach. I'm a Salesforce customer myself. It may not be property, but I've got an NDIS disability wellness platform that I built, and we use it in the consultancy to run all our projects and our service ticketing.
Yeah. And I think you're right there. Poor man pays twice. And the cost of switching when all of your data is tied up in a CRM is so high that you want to get it right the first time.
It's quantifying that cost too, because
when I say cost, I'm saying time cost, opportunity cost, sunk cost.
And this is more for the people that may not be thinking that way. They're just thinking in the top line dollar cost. But when we do these projects and when you deploy a system, it takes away a lot of productivity from your staff. There's no getting away from it. Like doing big transformative change in a business, implementing a new line of business product, it takes people's focus. It takes their time. You need to test things. You need to make sure it's right. You need to put time into requirements because it is critical, as it will be the platform that's running the business. And that cost is probably, again, bigger than the monetary cost. And I think it's one that people approach. They're not really sure how to quantify it. And, it sort of probably goes into another good topic of like, how do I be successful with a technology investment, is to make sure you have a product owner who can be on this journey from start to finish.
Yeah. And there's so many CRMs, off-the-shelf CRMs that people can choose. You listed a few there. And a lot of them, though, they specialize in certain things. They're not
industry solutions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or they'll try and market themselves that they they are, but they were started to solve a problem, and then they just added services and other things to make them a more rounded CRM.
Yeah, so I think people that add CRMs on later, you get a really compromised product because CRM wasn't their original focus, and there's plenty of industry solutions that fit that box. But when you get something that's off the shelf and it's very prescriptive, it might be okay for a startup because you're like, hey, we're just learning how we do this, and whatever the industry standard is, fine for us. But when you grow in size to be a little bit bigger, again, something I said at the start was like capturing your USP. How are you going to do that in a system that's set up to run one way? And generally it was someone who worked in the industry maybe 10 years ago. They went out and made a product from what they built for their business.
Yeah.
And now they're prescribing that out. And, if you want to do something different and you don't want to be one of the sheep and you want to go and lead the market, you need the flexibility to be able to go and mold it and work the way that you want to work.
Yeah. And I think that whole cost question needs to be applied across the lifetime of all of the projects that you're running as well, because from a developer's point of view, you're generating leads. So you're getting people that are saying, hey, I want to buy, whether they do or not that time, into your database. They get to know you. They're nurtured by you. They understand you. They're educated by you. And they may not buy that project, but then when the next project comes out, you have this beautiful database of potential buyers that you can tap on the shoulder and say, hey, remember us? This is the next project, So I think it's important to think of it through that life cycle, not for a project-specific use.
Well, it decreases your lead cost significantly when you remarket to them, right?
For sure.
And I think it's something that you can standardize and set up a process so it doesn't have to be resource heavy to go and remarket, and you want the system to be doing the thinking for you. So, you don't want reps to have to think about, hey, I should go and offer it to these people. We want the platform to just reach out and engage the people again with with something that's within the realms of what they originally inquired, check in if they bought, maintain that relationship and the brand awareness and build trust over that time. And particularly if you decide to diversify and go into, maybe you're just selling land initially and you want to go into house and land packages, like there's a whole new market, whole new lot of buyers that you've already got there. You've established a rapport with different reasons, like going into, again, the segmentation, like finding out who's investors, who are new home buyers, whether they're jumping camps, recycling that.
Yeah, segmenting. And
that opportunity is really critical, I think, to maximizing your marketing budget.
Yeah. So database reactivation is a big ticket for us in that we do a lot of work where developers have this database and it may be a mature project that's nearing the end and they want to sell the last of the stock. Going in and reactivating that database and pulling out potential contracts from there is a really big thing that we do. So what are some ways that we could do that with Salesforce?
Well, I guess it's, for me, not necessarily a big thing because it's just like anything.
It's
you
part
define
of it.
a campaign, you build the segments, you build the collateral and you send it out.
Yep.
And, we can build the landing pages on the platform. All the engagement tracking's already there. And you can see it at any time. We can tie the opportunities back into the original campaigns. I think if first touch, last touch attribution is a really big thing for you on how you want to capture that lead cost.
Yeah, it is. It drives me crazy sometimes. First and last touch. Oh my God.
We could tie it in. And it doesn't have to be any harder than any other marketing campaign. And it's an interesting thing, isn't it, that reactivation is viewed as like this laborious thing when it's much easier than going and trying to source fresh leads.
Well, I think it's labeled as a laborious thing because people approach it with the wrong mindset. They go in and they say, we're going to do database reactivation. Let's get people on the phone, start calling the database. We'll send just a random EDM to it all, and then we'll follow it up with an SMS blast. And that's when it's people doing the work. you kind of either want to minimize the amount of work that they need to do because that's cost.
Cost, yeah.
Or you want to automate it, and you get a lot more flexibility, a lot more ability to do cool stuff and reactivate that database, because you're not just sending a blank EDM, you're not just sending an SMS, you can actually personalize it and engage and
all of the
and
outreach.
talk to them.
Yeah, and I think, man, I got quite a few thoughts on this in different areas.
You're in the right place.
Yeah.
So don't worry.
With the right guy. I think maybe some of the friction comes against the fact that they've got to gather up all their data that they've pushed out to really get a good view on what these prospects have done and where they're at in their journey and how to best re-engage with them.
Yep.
So I think it's like, being able to really personalize that messaging, because in a society where we're constantly bombarded by cold calls, cold texts, cold emails, you need your outreach to be really specific and relatable for that individual prospect to re-engage and keep that trust going, I think is a really key thing.
With total side note, with the new iOS 26, I've been using it on my phone and it's amazing. Like, cold calling is basically dead. Like, this is like what happened when I think Android phones have had this for a little while.
Yeah,
we're just catching
they do.
up.
Yeah, the call screening.
Yeah. Like, we're only just getting that. But I have not had to pick up any robocalls or cold calls or anything like that, because it's all done for you, which is amazing.
Yeah, and even with the B2B stuff we do, it's all about warmed up outreach. Like, you've got to have that connection there and that understanding and that rapport for someone to be able to engage with you anyway.
You were talking about first touch, last touch attribution before, and it reminded me of, we work with a developer that's got many, many projects running at the same time. And so we run all of the projects at the same time for them. However, when someone comes in and they might look at their first project's landing page, but then they'll go to the next project's landing page and convert.
I'm familiar with this one.
Yeah. It tags them with the first project.
Things,
so
what are they actually interested in?
Yeah, it's really tough. So
I think that's where the engagement history comes in though, right?
Yeah, yes.
And if you can sit in front of it and see a timeline of engagement history, then at least you know what to talk to them about.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the really tricky thing is when they're genuinely inquiring about 3 different developments at the same time, because to the end consumer, they don't know that it's one developer. They just see 3 developments.
Yeah. And so let me ask you a question. We use a lot of UTMs with all of everything that we send out. It's all tracked.
Yep.
What does Salesforce use UTMs? I seem to remember that there's a different, they have their own version of it or something.
With Data Cloud, you can just pull GA4, like Google Analytics, straight in and apply that over the top. Account engagement, aka Pardot, custom tracking URLs were a really big part of it. So any asset, you could tag the asset and put it in the engagement history, and you could see what people were engaging with. And when they filled out a form and you cookied them, it would put together that history, all the steps in the journey. So again, I don't think this is the heart of the connected system, right? Like, it knows what's going on. It knows what these people are doing, and it puts it together in that central view. Yeah,
you're not sending them to a landing page platform and then emailing them through, MailChimp or something like that. And then all these
trying to sync that information across, right?
Yeah. So the connected system, I think, is where it's at. I think that is the secret sauce there. In a world where we don't have access to a lot of cookies data these days, there's more and more people that are clicking reject all or using private browsing or what's the ad blockers and things like that. How does Salesforce get around that?
That's a good question.
Because you're already in the ecosystem.
First party attribution is key, right? And that's always really been key, because as soon as you fill out a form and you get confirmed there, then you can start building that engagement. It's always going to be less, right? Like, the whole industry is trying to make it less, which is not what we want in terms of marketers and trying to get those insights. But it makes it even more critical to capture what you can when you can and put that picture together of your prospect.
Yeah.
And again, you've got to take advantage of those opportunities where you can start piecing together the picture and making sure you have a strategy where you're getting them to touch your touch points so you can see it.
And that's looping back around to lead scoring. You know, if a salesperson sees an inquiry and this person has only inquired on landing page and nothing else, they're going to be less valuable than someone who has been on the landing page multiple times over the last week, opened emails, clicked on emails, visited the landing page, visited the website, or
what about
social.
What about being able to identify the trend because you can see who actually converted at the end?
Yeah.
And it's not just about the prospect, it's about the signed contract.
Yeah.
And everyone knows about survivor bias in World War II and the whole thing about the bombers that came back with all the bullet holes in them.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, we're going to reinforce the
there.
areas. And it was the ones that were getting shot down that were the ones that needed the armor plating and the reinforcement in the areas for the ones that weren't surviving. So again, it's more than just the prospect and the marketing platform, isn't it? It's the converted closed deal. And they're the ones that we want to go back through and spend some time analyzing their journeys, because maybe the person that looked at all these pages and didn't just go to the landing page and convert, maybe they were just tire kickers.
So can you build a persona of them, of that finished working backwards person? Can you build that in Salesforce and then apply that for the sales team so that they can, it will then apply, say, a tag or something to that lead so that says this person looks like they are following the correct path?
I think this comes down to the budget and how much you want to spend, because there's levels above Marketing Cloud Next well, I should clarify Marketing Cloud Growth. There's a bigger Marketing Cloud product that it's got absolutely killer high detail attribution, persona building, all that stuff. But probably out of the price range, there's a happy medium where we can find the level that you need to be effective and implement a solution that will speak to that level. You know, like,
who would use that higher level one? What's an example of an industry that would use that?
They use Ducati at the Salesforce conference, like
to identify personas and
even
journeys.
push marketing directly to their mobile when they're within range of a Ducati dealership. You know, like it goes full creep.
Yeah, wow.
if you want it to, but
I find geofencing really problematic. I got a ping the other day. I logged onto a platform and the platform pinged me and said, someone's just logged in west of Cunnamulla. And I was sitting on Eagle Street in my office, and
relatable.
I'm like, when you see that happening, it's really frustrating. I think marketers will agree with that, and we've all come across that.
I think it's like anything, right? You can have a good implementation or a bad implementation, and that's why having the right partner that understands your industry is really key. Yeah. So you can not have that marketing alert for someone that's 1,000 kilometers away.
Well, it was me. They said I was that person.
Oh,
yeah. So I logged into the platform and it said, we've just had a login from west of Cunnamulla. And I thought, no, that was me.
It's not a lot of internet out there.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's an exchange sitting out in a field somewhere. It's weird.
I want to know who your internet provider is.
So what is some advice you'd give to the marketers that are going to be using this Salesforce CRM? Also, let's stop calling it a strategy. CRM. Sorry?
It comes down to the basics of like, have a good, well thought out strategy.
So that's step one. That's like where you start. You don't go anywhere until you've got your strategy sorted.
Yeah, I think it's so key. And when we were talking about re-engaging database before, like that shouldn't be a secondary strategy that comes up later that you're like, how are we going to re-engage these guys? Let's have a think about that. Yeah. And build it all out thoughtfully first. Have enough time to build it out, have a lot of runway for your campaigns so you can build things, you can test them, you can make sure they work. I wish I had $1 for every time I worked with marketers who were like, we just need to quickly do this event and we need to set up the tracking. Say that I need $1 because they always go over budget and don't want to pay for it. But I think having really good tagging and a really good catalog of assets and knowing how they fit together to drive the scoring is really key.
So, for example, we're going to commence with a project. So the first port of call would be to map out the strategy and then drop in where the collateral will sit at each stage and what the journey is there. So what are the assets, what is the collateral, and what is the journey for that person? Is that fair? Because because that then dictates what
we can look at the opportunities that we've got to remarket them, to re-engage with them or engage them further. And, you know, I think I used to work, this is a bit of a segue, but it's a podcast. So I used to work in magazine publishing and
I used to work in paper. How's that?
Oh,
wow.
That's where all the great minds come from in technology, paper. And I did digital product development, and I was charged with putting our magazines on iPads because I'm aging myself here. But iPads were the hot new thing, and it was going to be the savior of print.
2010. It's 2010, and everyone's on
flipbooks on iPads. Which,
I still use Flipbook.
For the record, I always hated it. I didn't think it was a good idea.
Right.
But I feel that like history is spoken on that one too, with the number of print magazines that are left. But one of the key takeaways I always remember from that is that you want to engage with the person in the method that they want at the time they want with the right content. And those three things was something we all sat in a meeting, really creative people. We used to do some amazing stuff. I shouldn't say me. I didn't do the magazines directly, but engaging with people at the right time in the right way is critical. And particularly now, we've got quite a broad skill set across generations, like boomers phasing out a bit more, but, you know, millennials to Gen Z, there's different preferences in the way that they want to engage the content that they consume.
Gen Z won't pick up a phone. Like to call, it's only for texting.
But let's make the platform have that knowledge, right? Yeah. So it reaches out to the right person in the right way. And I think that's really critical because you won't wear them out. You'll get better engagement and better conversion. I
think that's really critical. That's a really critical piece. And it just comes back to the fundamentals of like the 3 Ps or the 4 Ps, whatever, you know, people, place, product.
Yeah. Didn't invent that one, did I?
No. But I think that's exactly right. You're speaking truth there. And understanding, I mean, we find this even without doing so much of a big technical drive, is that you get people that only want to talk on text message. You know, they want to do
WhatsApp. WhatsApp is a valid business channel now.
Yeah, yeah. Or they only want to talk on email, or they only want to talk on the phone, or a bit of both, you know, of all three. So having that available and robust and built out so that you can deliver what they need in each of those channels is so important these days.
Yeah, we call it omnichannel, omnichannel servicing. And it's valid. I think people will discuss purchasing house and land packages via WhatsApp with a sales rep, organized times. You need to be able to bring that in and record it in the CRM. So if someone has to pick it up, you know, you need to have all that in one spot. And I think one thing that we haven't really talked about is the servicing part. When there's a problem, like how do you deal with those problems? And ticketing systems seem like, you know, an IT product thing, but being able to capture complaints, problems, all those sorts of things and deal with those things in a systematic process is really key. And again, omnichannel, so how the customer wants to deal with you. And I think that all just adds up to a really good modern customer service experience that adds value to your brand and trust to your brand, making sure that you're available, not, you know, you don't want to end up with a thread of Facebook comments on your ads saying, oh, I couldn't get a hold of them. No one ever answers the phone.
No.
I sent them all these messages, you know.
Yeah, no.
There's a big demand there, and capturing those requests is really key. You're capturing it across more platforms than ever before, and being able to manage that is a really important part of every business now, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And look, you know, we've had guests on here that have spoken about the importance of being present when the questions are asked, because if you don't answer them, they'll go and ask it from another project. So being there and being able to deliver the right information at the right time is so important these days.
And I think AI leans a long way into that, right? Like I think this is why it's really important to underpin AI with really good data so it can answer and provide really good information to the people that are seeking it, because it gives you that always on capability. I don't think people expect to be all the way through an automated process with AI for such a massive purchase like this, and being able to put it through to a human when it's the right time. But I think people are also accepting that, like, hey, I just want to get some information about X, Y, Z. Maybe I want to look at the fire rating, or something to do with the lot frontage. Like, these are all questions that people can ask a chatbot or a large
and
language
it just
model.
References
and
the data.
It's just a knowledge
Pulls
base.
it out.
Yeah, it's just a big Q&A. And if the data's there and it's good and you can train your AI on what it can and can't answer, really important, I think, to say these questions are off limits, particularly around anything that's got liability. You know, you can refer that to a human and capture the other 80% of requests. Again, you're not distracting your agents or your reps with questions that are just like, I just need some info on this thing.
Yeah. I don't know if it's everyone, but when I go to a platform and I need to ask a question, I happily will open the chat box and start to chat to it. And I shudder when I open it up, and it's just, answer bubbles of set questions, and I think, oh no.
Yeah.
But then when you open up a chatbot and they're like, hey, I'm, Bessie bot, and it's a chatbot, it's most likely AI powered these days, you're going to get a lot more valuable information from that than you will
I think so.
a set answer tree, or conversation tree that they've set out.
Well, and we deal with a lot of offshore people as well. And I think, we as a community have a lot of offshore call centers that we deal with. And what's the value of a human that's given a script over a chatbot that's just got a pre-programmed script? I think, that level 1, 2 interaction, I'd much rather do with an AI that knows the answer, that can probably
100%.
solve the question that I'm asking much quicker than someone having to go and manually look it up or be transferred,
oh God, I'll just transfer you.
I think that's going to be the new normal is, people being serviced information in a really expedited, easy fashion, and then having the access to a human behind it when they need to, and making that an easy transfer.
Well, it's win-win, because the provider isn't paying a human to do that, for better or for worse. But you think about that, those situations, they're really asking low-level, simple, quick questions that they want quick answers to. And I think I don't know if everyone else does, I feel like that is okay and acceptable and preferable than, having to send an email to support or, to a sales agent or something like that.
And your small to medium business in Australia is not going to be able to staff 24/7.
Yeah.
And, I think a lot of home buyers, sitting there after work, researching things, looking, comparing.
They're sitting on the couch with their partner, crowded around the iPad, flicking through different projects, putting in some inquiries. And this is what we come back to, delivering the valuable content at the time that they've requested it. And through a good CRM, AI powered or not, is able to do that over, an analog human who gets the email inquiry and answers it the next day at 9 a.m.
Yeah, I think the AI piece AI is a funny thing. I think it's oversold and overthreatened a lot on businesses right now, and people are saying if you don't have an AI strategy now, you're going to get left behind. I don't think that's entirely true, but I think there's some really great use cases out there that really give you a good customer experience, and that is an advantage in the marketplace.
Yeah. I mean, my view, we're getting down the rabbit hole with AI right now, but my view with AI is that it's not a savior. It's not going to solve all your problems. It's a productivity tool, and how you put it in place is what you get back from it. So I'm waiting. I don't know if Zendesk has done this yet, or any of those other help desk platforms where you get your FAQs, just digitizing that, putting it into the AI and just replacing your FAQs instead of, expandable sections. You've got an FAQ bot there that can
Yeah.
answer what you want.
Yeah,
Exactly like you were saying.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I think knowledge base is the easiest place to start with AI.
Yeah.
But again, you don't want to give away your trade secrets. So private AI is the thing that gives you the advantage there, where you're not just uploading all your IP to the internet for AIs to learn on and suck it up and give it to someone else that asks the same question. And the guardrails. The guardrails are a big difference, particularly when we're talking about legal subjects, legal, health, financial advice. You have to set the limits on what it can answer.
Yeah, or ask for.
Yeah.
So with property marketers, we've spoken about, creating the right strategy up front, mapping out your collateral and all of your different pieces and where they'll sit and when you deliver them. Generally, projects run in stages. So coming soon, register your interest, now selling, stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if it's land. Is there we would never have all of those stages ready to go at the beginning. So is it flexible enough that we can swap out these things, or do we need to build a robust flow that we can then apply to the different stages?
Well, I think that's what you want to do, right? Like build it once and replicate it and maintain it yourself would be the approach that we take with a lot of stuff we build in Salesforce.
Yeah.
The message can change substantially. It could be a different brand,
totally.
A high end versus a value development is going to look different. It's going to have different branding. It's going to have different tone. But I think the steps to engaging will be similar. Maybe the high end will be more personalized, a bit more customized. But if you can deliver that to the lower end for the same price, why wouldn't you? I don't want to put you out of a job, Mark, but I think it's build out the asset as a whole, end to end. Copy it, paste it, tweak it, adjust it, make it the right fit, and then repeat that process.
Yep.
What that lets you do is continue to develop your template as well. So you don't have to have perfection at the end. JC, my practice lead, done is better than perfect.
Right.
And I think that's something really to definitely live by when you're
strive for
when you're doing these sorts of things, because you can just get sucked down trying to make the most perfect marketing campaign ever. Yeah. And you end up being late or it doesn't happen. I nearly fell victim to this just recently. Like, just get in and get it done and
that's
iterate
what
on it, right? Like
we got to do this really quickly.
Software is about iteration and developing and continuing to evolve and grow it. And that way you get the opportunity to build what you think is your best in breed and apply it at all levels as you see fit, and be able to have the ability to customize and really have that ownership.
Well, I think it's been really interesting because as a marketer, we only ever see the parts of the CRM that we touch, and we don't really have any visibility into, contract delivery and also what did you call it? Where you're monitoring the lots and the apartments, stock.
The inventory management. Tracking.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it is actually, like you said, there is a whole 360 there. We're only seeing a chunk of the pie there ourselves in our industry. It's it's very, very detailed.
You get those lost opportunity reports to show how much they're missing out on with all the leads that you're generating and not following up on.
No, the sales teams do a fantastic job. We're really happy to work with them. That's all we have today. So thank you very much, Jake, for coming and chatting with us today about the CRM.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
It's been a pleasure. And thank you very much for listening along or watching along. If you are listening to this on the podcast app of your choice, hit subscribe. And if you're watching us on YouTube, hit that bell icon so it comes up in your feed when there is a new episode. Until next week or next time, thank you very much.